Hello, welcome back to my channel. Is it even a channel if I don't post? I don't know, but I am very excited to put myself back out there again. I have tried this multiple times over the last decade, and through a lot of inner healing and self work and shadow work and learning, growing, I have come to a place where I do feel more comfortable sharing ideas and just talking into a camera with no one behind the actual camera, but just me, myself, and I. And I'm really proud of myself to be able to come back and try again because it kind of really resonates with the topic I want to talk about today. And it's in connection to my recent post that I shared on Instagram. Kind of, this is my coming out journey a bit with my content and bringing myself back to the world of social media. But I think I had to get really clear about what my purpose is, who I am trying to reach, who I want to help influence and help create impact, what communities I want to provide resources to, and really just being able to share my journey and my story and what I'm passionate about. And I would like to just come back to this space with intentionality and mindfulness because I think it's so important when we have dreams, when we have aspirations, we have goals in life. I think it's more than just keep it to the chest until you're ready to announce it. I think it's more than that. I think it's giving yourself time to properly position your next steps, your actions, your plans, and mindfully putting it out into the world and into the ether in a way that's not only going to benefit you, but really allow you to feel grounded every step of the way. And I knew that I couldn't do that. And I knew that at the time when I was struggling to kind of put myself out there on YouTube and put my content out there, I didn't feel this connection to what I was sharing. And I needed to give myself that time to get to that place privately. And so in doing that, I'm really grateful because I do feel stronger and I do feel grounded. And when you are able to kind of look at what those triggers are, what those gaps or opportunities to improve are, and you're willing to sit with that, I think it's a really hard punch in the gut. And if you're willing to think through it and sit with it, I think a lot of good can come from that. But it's really giving yourself that time to be in relationship with yourself and what it is that you want to achieve. So that being said, I recently posted, it was kind of my comeback to social media post after some really big milestones this year and life changes and transitions. And through all of those moments in my life, I think that I came to a place where I really needed to pay attention and be a little bit more granular and thoughtful about how do we get through these transitions in a way that is efficient, in a way that helps us continue to build resilience, that reduces burnout or minimizes the effect or impact of burnout, and helps us to continuously be in that relationship of growth mindset. And it's this constant ongoing internal dialogue, I think, that has to take place, but also the framework of and a practice of that framework to help us continue to move through life's changes and transitions gracefully, especially with everything that's going on sociopolitically in our communities, in our family systems. We're dealing with a lot of complexities and layers that really, really, really impact our mental health and the way we're showing up. And if you've got a job to do, whether you're a parent, whether you are an employee, or you are a caregiver, or you have a lot of responsibilities and obligations and priorities, especially coming from, if you have multiple identities or cultures, then I think that you may even feel a more intense pressure or a lot more people relying on you to kind of be the model the way, and you're having to show up in a certain way to meet those expectations. And as I went through my life's, transitions, planning life events, new roles, putting myself out there, teaching, growing, what I realized was that each time I would go up against this challenge or opportunity or barrier, it was really this opportunity to hold space for myself. And that internal dialogue was really, really, really powerful and helped me to alchemize whatever emotion, whatever difficult construct was being thrown my way. And I think that what I'm really trying to get out here is that we are expected to perform, whether that is in our jobs, whether that's in our families or friendships, communities, whatever. Performance to me is not about this fake or false behavior to kind of achieve a goal. Yes, while that exists, what I really mean about performance is how we see ourselves and being able to deliver on the way that we want to show up, being able to show up the exact way that we desire. And I think that performance is about that self, how you see yourself in the world, and translating that in all of your mind body somatically. And from the way that you speak, your voice, the tone of your voice, what knowledge that you pull on or bring into a conversation, how your body language is, how you show up when you decide to speak and when you decide to hold back. And I think like all these things are an art. And it takes a lot of practice, lifetime after lifetime, year after year. I think people really, professionals and people who are in this realm, whether they're an orator or a speaker or an athlete or an actor or a facilitator, a practitioner, a teacher, an educator, an instructor, all of these type of professionals have this common thread of having to perform. And sometimes we get this performance anxiety, and that anxiety can come in front of any audience, whether that's you and your partner, whether that's you and your friendships or your relationships, your colleagues. This anxiety can rise up because I think at the end of the day, there's this disconnect of how we want to come across and how we actually come across. And then we feel this sense of, defeat, right? And so I think that through the years, I really thought about what makes us tick in these moments, in the seconds that we have to decide how we want to respond, in the minutes that we have before we enter an event or turn on the camera to lead a Zoom call, what have you. And all of these moments are those, honestly, these spiritual opportunities to help us really grow. And when we're thrown these opportunities, I think that we have to kind of look at them as compliments of the universe, because the universe is saying, you're ready. This is your opportunity. This is go time. You are ready to stand in your power, and with your skill sets and your abilities and capabilities, go ahead and lean into that authentic self and perform, show up, be able to deliver the way that you want to. And man, I tell you, it has been really hard for me to communicate that to you all. I've been wanting to say this for so long, I just didn't know how. And I kind of took my sweet time, and I'm so glad I did, because I feel like I'm finally drinking that glass of lemonade in my career and in my personal life and professional life, is like enjoying the fruits of that inner labor that I think it takes. But I want to really talk about, how did I get to that place, right? How did I come to this holistic approach in performance potential? And I started to notice that when I was intentional about how I alchemize my emotions, how I alchemize the situations that arise and transform them from 1 minute to the next, 1 hour to the next hour, day to day, week to week, what I recognized was this amplification and inner deep, profound confidence. And when you experience that state for the very first time, whether you've been you've been hitting your head against the wall for years trying to tap into that energy, it is such a profound experience of, here's what I'm able to do, here's my capacity, and the pride that comes with that, like nothing you would ever feel before, right? And I can speak to that because it's something I've been searching for my entire life, and it's a beautiful thing. And I want to share that with you all because I think so many people like me struggle on the outside. We mask really well. We show up, we come across professional, we come across kind and polite and capable, but that, as they call it, imposter syndrome or self-doubt, we downplay those achievements, and we don't really know how to hold ourselves in that role or that character or that being that we know that we are deep down, but it doesn't feel that way. And the feeling that I can explain is that it's like you finally are able to kind of meet yourself for the very first time, and there is this knowing and acceptance and this special energy that you have arrived, right? You've arrived in your desires and in your affirmations and all the things that you've been dreaming about, aspiring. It's because you finally experiencing your performance potential and recognizing that, oh, I still have a ways to go, but now I feel integrated, that everything around me is working in my benefit and in my favor because I've consistently developed this and utilized and lean on this framework to help me as I go through these transitions. The proper way of managing emotions, the proper, or I'll just say elevated, effective way of managing through those changes. And in my time working with law enforcement and first responders, in my time working with, employees and teammates and people who are working for companies, community members, people who are experiencing different levels of stress, oppression, challenges, what I've really taken away from that is that we have to really acknowledge, right? We have to acknowledge our responsibility and our identity. And this holistic approach comes into place. And I'll kind of talk through a few of these, pieces of the framework, which I hope to share more about as I continue to build an offering on this approach, right? One of those components is around, accepting and acknowledging our identity. And I think that we have to understand that there are so many unique intersections in our identity. We all have a very specific experience around whether that's our culture, whether that's our perspectives, all of the things that we're going through on a daily basis that affect our performance, that impact the way that we are able to show up for ourselves and the people around us and deliver in the way that we want to deliver. And I think that you really have to give yourself that permission to show up authentically. And that permission is really influenced by the messaging that we receive in our society. And I think that if you're coming from and hailing from a different kind of background, a diverse background or community or culture, I think that that is very much a conversation around equity and access to this perceived feeling of permission to be authentic. And I think that that is a realization that I had to make along the way. And I think that identity is really important when we are thinking about how we self-locate across situations, events, transitions, opportunities, moments, all of these things that really impact. And so that kind of leads me to this idea around cultivating the right mindset, that recognizing the ebbs and the flows and the peaks and valleys that come with your identity, but also just the natural things that take place in life, milestones, opportunities come and go and conversations happen. And I think every moment is the opportunity to really think about what is our mindset when we're in conversation, when we are trying to solve a problem, or when we're collaborating with someone else, or presenting, or connecting. I think it's really important that we think about those mindset as a component of this framework. And when we're coming into these conversations, what is the goal? What am I trying to achieve here? And as again, going back into our identity, we have a personality as well that is needing to shine through. And so how much of that personality and energy are we willing to really lean into to create the best outcomes? And I think it's a decision that we have to make on, what is the goal? What are we trying to achieve? And so I think about, also wellness being really key to this process as well. Wellness is how our mind body is in balance and in alignment. Wellness to me is have our cells on a cellular level, has our body receive the right nutrients, the right amount of oxygen, water, all of the hydration, all of the things that help keep our cells functioning at a very high vibration. Have we taken the time to embed that as a practice in our lives? But also, is our blood flowing in the way that it needs to flow? Are we getting enough air and oxygen and vitamin D and exposure to the right minerals and supplements and vitamins to help us really think through? Or are we suffering from brain fog and confusion and fatigue and chronic illness? Are we plagued with that? Because that's going to affect how we use our time throughout the day. And again, what is taking away from our ability to be efficient in our interactions? Because again, those relationships, those moment to moment decisions that we have to make really make or break the outcome that we're seeking to achieve. And lastly, I'll say, the mindfulness and the yoga. As a yoga instructor, what I have found is that there is a greater level of patience that we tap into when we are able to slow down and leveraging the breath as the language that is picking up the vibrations in the room, the environment, and being able to tap the aura, the environment, the energy, the emotion, the things that are happening that we can't see or sense with our five senses all the time, but it is there. And that information is something that can travel into our bodies to help us have this subconscious, right? Or our gut or our instinct, our discernment. The breath really helps us to connect into that and make those really important decisions and leaning into our knowingness, our consciousness. And mindfulness and yoga, I think, are the things that really go hand in hand. Is it something that you have to do on a daily basis? No, not necessarily. It's not something that I really force. It's a powerful tool at the end of the day. You decide what you want to do with it and be curious about maybe perhaps the benefits that you can receive. And I think that when we integrate all of these aspects into one comprehensive framework, as I can tell you through my life experiences through over the decade that I've been working as a yogi, as a practitioner, as a professional, that this is what helps to enhance that performance potential. Performance is about receiving what it is that we aspire to accomplish. It's being able to bring to life and create action around our goals. And I think that when we start to look at our interactions as not just moments or small one-off things that happen throughout our day and really valuing each interaction, connection, decision as a valuable opportunity, you're really going to start to see those benefits. And I admit it has taken me a really long time, but again, it's something that I feel like I've leaned into over the years and just used my spidey senses to help me cultivate this self-awareness and this framework. So I've been working on several offerings, and as I continue to build, I want to just put myself out there into the ether, because part of my goal and performance potential, reaching that peak, is expression, it is creation, it is delivering, and that's what I'm here to do. And I hope that you will join me in this journey and we'll have more conversations in the future. I hope. I'm using Fiverr to really help me leverage this, video content right now. So I know what energizes me and I know what doesn't, but I hope that maybe this conversation and this video will energize you before 2025 and really get to think about, how you want to show up. Are you reaching your performance potential? Do you know where your peak is? Have you had the time to really digest, all that has happened, and then develop a plan for yourself to help you get to where you want to be, that mountaintop for yourself in 2025. So let's talk soon again. Hopefully this content will be up in the next week. Today is the day before Thanksgiving, so if I don't see you guys for a little while, hopefully it'll be sooner than that. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys back here again. Bye.